I finally finished assembling the Mecha God Colada from Heshing Manufacturing and Shoxin. This model is probably the most anticipated assembly kit of the first half of this year. How many of you pre-ordered it just after seeing the gray prototype? After spending about 20 hours putting it together, I found that the official team tried a lot of new things. There were quite a few novel experiences. It's a rare kind of high-end assembly kit. So in today's episode, let's take a look at Colada's performance from head to toe, inside and out. Of course, I've also prepared a box of the same Mecha God Colada as a giveaway for everyone to try out. If you're interested, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The size of the packaging box is comparable to the old PG kits, but it's not overpackaged. The inside is packed full with parts, about 40 runners and over 900 pieces. For those assembling it for the first time, take note. There's a special reminder on the seal of the blister layer that holds the lighting unit. Be sure to check it first just in case. If you think it's necessary when your kit arrives, it's best to record a video to confirm that the lighting function works properly. Additionally, the product does not include batteries. I've displayed the required battery pack on the screen so you can prepare it in advance. The outer armor mainly features blue, white, and gold. All the gold parts have been painted, giving the overall color a nice texture. The saturation is on the lower side, so it doesn't have that eye-catching, explosive look at first glance. Some of the outer armor parts are color separated, which is relatively friendly for straight builders. The clear parts are very transparent, especially this halo, and the gate marks are thoughtfully placed on the inside. Of course, most of the parts have hidden gate marks as well. Additionally, the product comes with a water decal sheet. Some of the decals are quite large, so applying them will really test your skills. What do you all think of this set of features? It took about 20 hours to complete. Because of the equipment's design, the overall size is roughly equivalent to a standard 1:144 scale gunpla, but the level of detail and the number of parts are almost at the RG or even MG level, so some of the parts are quite small, and assembling them does take some effort. However, the assembly experience is quite good. The smoothness of the build is well tuned, comparable to Sheng Manufacturing, though in some areas, especially where support is needed, the fit can be a bit tighter. There isn't a complete inner frame in the product, but that doesn't mean the structure is simple. The design team's understanding of complexity is reflected in the combination and articulation of the structure, rather than just piling on inner frame details. In fact, most of the linkage mechanisms in Colada are even more complex than those in typical kits. While conventional linkages are usually presented through sliding grooves, Colada directly uses gear assemblies. During assembly, there are even special shaping molds included with the parts to help secure the gears. Additionally, there are single-use detachable components during assembly, and for some deeper positions, after installation, you need to actively break them off to separate them. Wow, this design is really engineering-oriented. The product even comes with an extra set, so if you make a mistake during assembly, you still have a chance to fix it. From this model, you can really sense that the designer has a unique engineering approach to mecha models. Most mainstream assembly models are like being spoon-fed by a nanny, but Heshing Manufacturing wants to create a sense of engineering participation on top of that foundation. Whether you're screwing in bolts, moving pipes, or assembling gears, it feels as if you walk out of the workshop covered in the scent of metal. To put it simply, it's the feeling of creation. Is that your thing? Even though the scale isn't particularly large, the exaggerated equipment design and the arrangement of the components give Colada, in its fully equipped state, the presence of a high-end Gunpla MA-class weapon. If you can feel that sense of realism from the model, even at a small size, then it proves that Colada has succeeded. It has so many details that you could spend quite some time carefully admiring them. The repeated elements and intersecting lines along with the abundance of cross motifs are not just crudely stacked together. Instead, they serve more as visual anchors, drawing out a sense of stylistic unity among the different modules. I have to say, at first glance, the density of details is almost overwhelming, and the entire machine's color scheme is limited to just blue, gold, and white. This makes it hard to balance out the overly complex visual impression as everything is deliberately toned down in terms of mechanical feel in pursuit of ultimate aesthetics. If the mainstream for mecha is a more realistic mechanical structure, then Colada feels more like a statue of a deity from a high poly universe. This is a strong symbolism that emerges after moving beyond the pursuit of functionality. For example, the antenna on the head is designed like a goddess statue, and the halo in the visor represents a diffused defensive force field. These elements are meant to be both practical and highly stylized. If you were to scale Colada up to its original size, I think it would actually look more like a cyber-gothic temple. As a side note, Colada is named after the sword wielded by the Castilian hero Lord El Cid, which means forged from gold chains. He actually had two swords. The other one was called Tizona, which is also the name of Colada's pilot in the game. Back to the model itself, the main body is about the size of a standard RG, and its design resembles a knight's armor. In some areas, it even inherits a bit of the design language from their own bots series. The overall color scheme is mainly white, with small blue accents, and only a few spots highlighted in gold, which makes the transparent visor stand out on its own. The head features a forward thrusting line, and the cross on the antenna sets the tone for the overall style. The head antenna is relatively thin and long, so when adjusting its position, it's best to hold it from the front and back. The range of movement is decent. The backpack design resembles an energy tank, with sensors on both sides. The lines of the torso sharply taper in, giving off a bit of an electric knight vibe. In fact, just looking at Colada's main body, with its primary weapon mounted on the back, it even has a bit of that Mirage feel from 5-Star Stories. The shoulders have butterfly joints on both ends to assist with movement, allowing the arms to be raised up to 90 degrees. The wrists are positioned at the top, and the upper arms have a swivel joint. Although the forearms don't have one, they do move in conjunction when the elbows are bent. By the way, this model comes with quite a few hand types, and as usual, there's a dedicated hand for holding weapon grips, making it easy to swap out. This has become something of a trademark for this brand. The forward and backward waist bending range is quite good, and there's a spring here to allow for clearance. Side bending is achieved through upper chest movement, while rotation is done directly with a swivel joint. Are you thinking that the waist lever is about to trigger a passive function? The side skirts are connected at the thigh articulation point, and the connection uses a swivel joint that provides ample clearance for movement. However, pay special attention. When lifting the leg, try to hold and operate from the base of the thigh. Applying force directly by rotating the lower leg panel puts a lot of pressure on the joint. The knee design is quite pronounced, but in reality, it conceals 2 handguns inside. The design looks very sci-fi and usually serves as a visual accent. Once removed, there's basically no restriction on forward and backward leg movement. It's worth mentioning that the armor plates on both sides can move freely, and the outer layer also has lateral articulation. This area is reserved for installing the javelin in the fully equipped mode, and when you pull the abdomen, the outer armor will move in tandem and open up. The ankle articulation is quite good, and the joints are tight enough. Judging by the articulation of the Colada itself, I think it's pretty sufficient, but most players will probably display it fully equipped in a cabinet anyway. Let's take a look at the true main body. The Covenant armor is a special exterior kit designed specifically for Colada. First of all, the name itself reminds me of saber. The overall design is basically a backward-facing spike, and the general direction is still leaning toward the style of the Holy Lotus dignity. First, the most inconspicuous structure, the stalactite-like ridge on the top of the head. This layer of external armor wraps around Colada's head as a visual anchor point, and it's also a very poetic way to represent a goddess statue in Halo. Through the drive module, a whole interconnected structure is formed with both inward and outward movements. Here, gear linkage is used, and you can clearly feel the tactile sensation of the gears turning, somewhere between stiff and smooth. Once you find the right leverage point, it's actually quite easy to operate. In addition, there are light-up positions on the inside, which can illuminate the head of Colada. Then there are the shoulder pushers on both sides. When you pull them open for linkage, they can also activate the light set, and pushing them back turns the lights off. You'll feel a distinct tactile feedback at each step. The inside of the transparent parts lights up, giving the impression of energy flowing within. What surprised me the most is that right here, there's a section of the fishing float battery directly exposed. The power supply structure is seamlessly integrated into the mecha's exterior, turning a functional component into an aesthetic feature. This kind of design is really quite creative. It can move simply on its own, and the blade installed at position Y is actually its floating cannon, which we'll use again later as the main weapon. Flanking both sides are the auxiliary mechanical arms. In terms of design, the claw tips are an extremely aggressive external expression, instantly giving the entire machine a strong sense of severity and menace beneath its divine appearance, almost reminiscent of instruments of judgment or execution. Each finger can move independently, and the base can also move together. The thumb even has a separate movable joint. The arms are connected by folding mechanical arms, and each main joint is equipped with a movable axis, so the range of motion is actually quite flexible. Additionally, gun barrels are installed. The one on the thumb can flip outward to adjust the attack angle, although the rear part is fixed. On the outermost side, there is an integrated light blade composite shield. The inner layer is made of transparent material, intricately engraved with numerous wiring patterns on the inside, enhancing the technological feel and revealing the trajectory of energy bursts. The back of the hand features a linked thruster. Pushing here causes the thrusters on both sides to converge toward the center, and when pushed to the maximum extent, the built-in lights are triggered simultaneously. Additionally, magnets have been embedded inside to facilitate battery replacement, so be sure to test the polarity before assembly. You could say that every aspect of the synthetic manufacturing is full of clever tricks. Additionally, a set of missile bays is integrated into the mechanical arm area. Each bay cover can be opened individually, and the missiles themselves are also separate pieces. However, the product does not include a launching mechanism, so you can't recreate the kind of dense bombardment seen in Billion Circus, which is a bit of a pity. However, the product does provide iron wires for connecting the remote weapons, which somewhat makes up for this shortcoming. Close combat is actually Colada's main specialty. The Covenant armor on its back integrates two large stone-fused greatswords. Not only are there cross symbols all over its body, but the main weapons themselves are also designed in the shape of a cross. There aren't any special linkage mechanisms, but the focus is on the modular combination playstyle typical of Boji products. The swords can be mounted on the mechanical claws using connectors, or combined into a single sword for Colada to wield. They serve both as the unit's armament and as part of its overall appearance. Amidst the radiating spiked lines, peaceful elements are used to balance the overall visual impression. The other set of main weapons consists of a javelin and a spear. When fully equipped, the javelin is stored on the back of Colada's lower leg. The javelin itself can also activate a set of lights, and once detached, it can be used directly as a weapon or freely combined in different ways. In short, the Universal No. 3 interface overall provides great potential for playability and further development in this area. Finally, there's the core spear. Pressing here activates the light set, and the entire weapon is especially ornate, with a size that's impressively extravagant. When combined with the javelin, it also forms an additional heavy lance mode. The product also includes an extra decorative connector, allowing you to integrate the floating cannons onto the weapon. The overall design is already leaning toward that one-staff armament vibe, and it really does look quite romantic. Of course, aside from the default form of the unit, the full equipment mode also includes a dual-wielding greatsword melee mode as well as a light blade axe and shield. When pushed to the maximum combination, you can mount a large beam saber on the thruster and wrap the main body with components like the spine for the fully equipped assault form. However, the light guiding effect at the thruster isn't particularly strong. It's more of a decorative touch. But even at a 1:144 scale, the overall width in this configuration reaches half a meter. There's also a connector for the Crata cable part, allowing you to pose the Crata in its separation mode as it detaches from the origin armor. This essentially acts as a stand for another stand, and there are many connection points. To ensure sufficient support, screws are used directly, making it very sturdy. You can really feel how Synthesis Manufacturing has put a lot of effort into developing modular combination play, and the unique features of the Boji series are further extended in this Crata set. Triggering powerful combinations yourself is also a fun aspect.
In the year 2067 of the Western calendar, the application of nova matter propelled a technological revolution, while at the same time extraterrestrial threats descended upon Earth. As a result, humanity launched the Star Shard exploration program as a global core strategy. Meteor Industries, the largest top-tier industrial giant on Earth, has been deeply involved in humanoid autonomous weaponry, mecha weapon systems, and nova energy technology. Closely tied to the United Earth Defense Force, it has shouldered the responsibility of resisting external threats with cutting-edge technology. Under the influence of various factors, Meteor Industries' highest technological achievement, the Mecha God project, was born. Colada, whose name means forged from refined steel, stands as a declaration of humanity's will in the form of a Mecha God. Backed by the highest level research and development budget, it is the ultimate symbol of the company's technological prowess. The unit adopts a lightweight main body with a detachable armament framework tailored to meet the demands of all-domain combat. Its generational leap in performance has comprehensively surpassed previous products, and it has officially been incorporated as the 11th Mecha God of the Blade Extinction Unit with the unit designation CZ011B. However, this unit is an A-type independent model, and like the Mecha God Damocles, it is a highly customized machine. Its extremely complex system architecture and stringent control requirements make it difficult to find a suitable pilot, resulting in it being kept in storage for a long time. It was not until Tizena appeared that Crada's full combat potential was truly unleashed. The statue of the Goddess of Victory standing atop the machine, together with the massive ring-shaped antenna, fully displays Meteor Industries' supreme confidence. Its luxurious architectural aesthetics resemble a floating divine tribunal in the heavens, and its overwhelming combat power makes it the sharpest holy sword in the Star Shatter exploration project. When it descends onto the battlefield, engulfed in a torrent of energy, the area becomes its domain of judgment, and any enemy who dares to invade will face its unquestionable divine might. From my personal perspective, the Mech God Crater leans more towards symbolism. It is not merely an external accumulation of firepower, but rather a concrete embodiment of will made manifest. There are numerous architectural structures, without emphasizing anthropomorphic armor on the ship, nor deliberately pursuing complex mechanical constructions. From the very beginning, the designer intended to make Colada resemble a device, even incorporating some abstract concepts. The first thing that comes to my mind is Alexander from Final Fantasy Type 0, which requires 1,000 people to sacrifice their own lives just to summon it briefly, but the resulting casualty ratio is 1,000 to 184,307. An absolutely heavy price to use, an absolutely overwhelming destructive power. No anger, no mercy, no joy. The world wails in anguish, yet it remains silent. Humanity offers sacrifices, yet it descends all the same. This is the first impression Colada gave me, the association that came to mind. Though it may not reach the ultimate elegance of the 5-star story's illusions, it possesses an even more solemn and majestic fantasy aesthetic. You could say that this kind of experience is still quite rare in the domestic model market. Of course, these are all my very personal and subjective opinions. I believe that after experiencing it for yourselves, you will definitely have different feelings.
However, compared to mainstream assembly models that aim for a simple building experience, Colada has a higher assembly threshold and does require players to invest more focus to complete the build. Perhaps this meticulous assembly is also part of what sets it apart. That's all for this episode's sharing. What do you all think of Colada's performance this time? Feel free to discuss in the comments section.